Good afternoon, everybody. We are here to take a look at a few more defensive end prospects in the upcoming draft. Again, these are guys that are likely to go around day number 3. We're going to start with Kobe Turner, Wake Forest prospect. Could not find his age. Very, very low amount of experience for this guy. He actually only has 1 year of Wake Forest experience on the books. He has 1 year of NCAA experience, period, actually. So we're talking about a very, very raw prospect here, but he did enough during that 1 year to get some attention. He did not do any of the combine drills. I don't even think he was invited to the combine. So we're talking about kind of a high-risk prospect, I guess you could say, because he hasn't put a ton on tape. 6'2", 288 pounds. He's got the look of a 3-4 defensive end in that regard, I guess you could say. 32-inch arms are okay. 10-inch and 1/8 hands are okay as well. There are a few big boards that don't even have him listed. ESPN does not have him listed. Of course, Tankathon doesn't, but you would expect that. Tankathon only does the top 100. Sports Illustrated does not have him listed. So those guys don't even consider him to be a real prospect right now. But PFF has him in the in the third round, actually. And CBS has him in the fourth. Draft Network has him as a distant UDFA, so there's a huge range of takes on Kobe Turner's value, but the consensus is that he's going to be a late 4th or early 5th type of pick. The 1 year he played at Wake Forest, he played in all 13 games, 10 tackles for loss, 38 tackles overall, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, was on a slightly below average defense, so definitely some impressive things here. 3 forced fumbles, that's going to be one of the higher single-season marks that you see throughout all of these defensive end videos. He has a chance to develop into being an every-down player. I think that he does show ability as a pass rusher and as a run stuffer. He's only 6'2", which allows him to win the leverage battle a lot, which that's something that we talk about a lot in these videos. Can you win the leverage battle? Kobe Turner is pretty good at winning the leverage battle. So you watch the film on him, and that's one thing that stands out. He's pretty good at shedding blockers to go make plays. And he seems like he's a smart football player as well, the way he deconstructs blocks and deconstructs plays. He gives enough effort to chase down plays from behind. You will definitely see, there are some players out there that don't give the effort to chase down plays that aren't immediately in their area. This is a guy who will give that effort, will chase down a play that isn't run right at him. And he has these attributes that you would expect of a guy who doesn't have the most natural talent. That being said, as you would expect from a player who only started, who has such a low amount of experience, he's still a work in progress. I don't think he's a great athlete. There's a reason why he didn't even get invited to the combine, I don't think. He's not explosive, and he only has the 1 year of college experience. So this is probably a guy who is got a relatively low ceiling, although I do think he has the potential to be at least an every down player. But I don't mind the floor here, actually. For a guy who only has 1 year of experience, I don't mind the floor. He is a project, but I do believe that at least early on, he will be good in run defense. So if you draft him, he can be a rotational player who plays maybe 15 snaps a game for you on rundowns and will probably be pretty good in that role. And I think that he will develop. So overall, I would take him in the 4th round and try to steal him later. All right, so next up is Moro Ojomo of Texas, a 22-year-old player. This one's very interesting. A lot of Seahawks fans have actually been talking about this guy in the later rounds, and I get why. He's got good size, 6'3", 292 pounds. That's that's basically the exact same weight that guys like Shelby Harris and Quentin Jefferson were last year, I believe. A little bit shorter, but still good weight. Very long arms, 34.5-inch arms, 10 and 3/8 inch hands. Ran the 40 in about 5.04 seconds, which is okay. For the kind of player that he's going to be, it should be okay, fine. Pretty decent 10-yard split, given that the 40 time was over 4 seconds. The jumps were actually solid for a guy who's almost 300 pounds. 33-inch vert, 9'4" broad, 29 bench press reps, which is solid. There are some big boards that have him going in the third, PFF, ESPN, and CBS. But you actually also have a couple big boards having him go in the seventh, Sports Illustrated and the Draft Network. The consensus database, though, has him in the fifth, which I think is actually a pretty reasonable guess. He's played in 12 games in each of the last 2 years, had a total of 61 tackles, 8.5 for loss. He had 3 sacks in 2022, which was kind of a new addition to his game. And in 2022, he did play on a really good Texas defense, 28th in the league. Even though this guy is 22 years old, he's actually played college football for many, many years because he entered college as a 16-year-old. So he has experience you would not expect of a 22-year-old, which is appealing. Those long arms really help him. You watch him play, and he really knows how to use those long arms to his advantage. And he's somebody who can have positive impacts on defense against running plays and passing plays. So this could be one of those fabled, beloved every down players. He moves pretty well for a guy of his size, like I said. I mean, he's a big, squat, stout-looking guy, but he moves fairly well. He's got a pretty good jump at the snap against run plays. Not so much against pass plays. I think he doesn't have a great burst at the snap on passing plays, but the running plays, he does a good job of sticking himself in there very early in the rep. He is strong. His 29 bench press rep speaks to that. He is capable of making some splash plays. He can penetrate gaps. He didn't do it a ton at Texas, but he is capable of it. He is somebody who can shoot gaps and make a play in the backfield. He plays intelligently, and I do believe that he gives maximum effort at pretty much all times. However, all that being said, you can still look at his college career and say he's not especially productive. He averaged 2.5 tackles a game over the last 2 years, and every 3 games or so would make a play in the backfield. Not productive. I do think that as of right now, he still needs to work on his technique. He does lose value when forced to cover distances, even though I think he does give effort. I think that if you do outside zone runs against him, he does lose some of his value. And until he refines his technique, he will probably be a better fit in a 4-3. So if you're going to get him to play in a 3-4, like we have right now, you're going to have to develop him, and we may not really have time for that. I do think he's a fun player. I think he'll be a good NFL player, but we don't have time to develop him into a 3-4 role. I think that if you want him to contribute from day one, he should be going to a team that runs a 4-3 where he doesn't have to refine his technique as much. So the value is there in the 6th. If he slides to the 6th round, I would take him because of the value. But I'm not taking him in the 5th just because of the developmental time. Okay, one more guy here in this video. It's Tyler Lacey of Oklahoma State, 23-year-old player. A little bit on the slimmer side for a interior lineman, 6'4", 279 pounds. Arms are pretty nice and long, 33 and a quarter, pretty good. Hands almost 11 inches, nice and big. His testing scores were up and down, like the 40 times really slow for a guy who's only 280 pounds, but his 10-yard split was fine, 1.72. His vertical was kind of low, but his broad jump was pretty solid. 3-cone was okay, and his bench press was actually really good. So combine scores all over the place. The big boards, Sports Illustrated likes him the best. They think he'll be a 4th rounder. PFF says like 5th rounder, maybe 6th. ESPN kind of thinks the same, probably a 5th rounder. The Draft Network says like 7th rounder. CBS says undrafted. The consensus is 175th overall, which would put him in like the 5th or 6th round approximately. So that's probably going to be a reasonable guess right now. Over the last 2 years, he's put up pretty good numbers. He's made a lot of plays in the backfield. He averages almost 1 tackle for loss a game over the last 2 years. He's making, over 60 tackles in a 22-game sample, 7.5 sacks. He was on one of the best defenses in the nation in 2021, the number 9 overall defense. And he played a lot of different roles for that Cowboys defense in 2021 and 2022, pretty much his whole career. He's got a lot of college experience, and he played left side, right side, inside, outside. He was doing it all for Oklahoma State. And he's somebody who can make plays, and he's also somebody who can cover up multiple gaps in the run game. So this is a very versatile player here. He gives maximum effort. He's an intelligent player in terms of how he deconstructs plays and figures out where he's supposed to be and deconstructs blocks. And he's got good strength. He's very strong. The 30 bench press reps speaks to that, I believe. He's good with his hands, and we talk about that sometimes as well. Of course, you got to be good with your hands in the trenches. He's a powerful player, and this is somebody who can penetrate gaps and make plays. It's also somebody who can occupy multiple gaps in the running game and take up space. So run gaps are taken up. Now, granted, I don't know if he'll be able to do all that at the NFL level when he's playing against the better competition, but this is something he showed in college. Now, some of the issues with him are he plays upright and loses the leverage battle because of it. Needs to learn how to play a little bit lower. He's already 6'4". He needs to learn how to get a little bit lower. Sometimes he pops straight up at the snap. He's not a very overall great athlete, I will say that. Like, these combine scores are pretty meh. When he gets to the NFL, he'll probably have to pick whether or not he wants to play outside or inside. Play outside, drop some weight, and try to become more explosive, or gain a little bit of weight and learn how to be an inside player. I hope he chooses to play on the inside, because in this context, that's what we need, and I think he'll be better at it. If he decides to commit to being an interior lineman, and if you draft him, I assume that you could influence him to do that, I think he would be a really good fit. I think he works really well for what we're trying to do here in Seattle. So I would definitely make him an appealing target in the 5th round. Maybe he slips to the 6th. I would be all over it. This would be one of my top late round guys. And that's what I have to say about these 3 guys. Let me know what you think down below. Another video coming out later tonight with a couple more, and that'll be it for the defensive ends. Thank you for watching. See you guys later. Peace out. Go Hawks.